Hello, friends. This is Charles Bird on this is the May 23rd, 2024 edition of Rant-Om Thoughts, where sacred cows are grilled and killed for your whining and dining pleasure. Quite a bit's happened, and quite a bit is going to happen. Um, I suppose this is what you get for neglecting your YouTube channel for weeks, sometimes months at a time. You end up maybe having to do really long episodes. Now, I'm the sort of person who prefers to receive the bad news first, and I suspect most of my audience is the same way. So we're going to start with the bad news. Um, Friday, I had received news, um, instant messages from two people, and later it was confirmed by Teresa Clutter, Brittoni Chavez's mother, that Brittoni passed away Friday morning. I don't have all the details. All I know and all I've heard is that she was found in bed and was unresponsive. I mean, she was only 31, 32. Young, healthy, energetic, and for someone to die suddenly at that age, like that, I just have a hard time wrapping my head around it. It doesn't compute. My heart really aches for her sons. I mean, they lost their father to police violence. Now this. In the description below, I'm going to leave a link to the GoFundMe that has been organized by Stephen Allen, who is a friend of that family, and himself a very vocal activist for police accountability. So I'll give you the link to that. Give whatever you can afford. If you can't give, at least share it, boost the signal, make sure her story, her and Paul's story is still being told. Um, uh, you know, I know that the establishment they're gonna think that now that Brittany's gone, that they can now sweep the murder of her husband under the rug, and we're not going to let them get away with that. And I pray for her sons. I really really pray that they find solace in knowing that their parents have reunited in heaven. And like I said, I had a lot happen just this weekend. My cat Wizard. A few weeks ago, he'd been getting into fights with this aggressive black cat that lives across the street, and I guess that cat got him really good on the left side of his face because he had this huge abscess uh, puffing out the left side of his face, and it got so big at one point that it swole his left eye shut and almost doubled the size of his head. And so I did what I could. I used antiseptic spray. I used warm compresses. I I used antibiotics. It did drain. It looked like he was on the mend again. I mean, just you know, last Thursday, last Friday, he was out, you know, climbing on stuff, jumping around, frolicking with the neighbor's dog. And then suddenly on Sunday, he seemed, lethargic, not himself. And he spent most of Sunday night, cuddled in bed with me. And any time I would try to get up to do something, he would dig his claws into my shirt and not want me to let him go and not want me to leave. So I spent most of that night with him. Then at around 6 o'clock Monday morning, he rolled off and he started moving around on the floor with just his front legs, and he was dragging his hind legs and his tail behind him. And then by the time he got to his food bowl, he collapsed. And that whole time he was making these painful yowling noises. And then it hit home to me, he was dying. So I scooped him in my arms. I held him till the very end, and I made sure that the last words he heard was that he was a good boy, he was my best pal, and I loved him. My neighbors were gracious enough to allow me to bury him in their yard. My coworker is kind enough to make a headstone for him. All right. I seldom get into this publicly. It's not like a huge secret. I'm open about it. I just don't talk about it a lot because especially not on social media, because I always end up hearing from some fake alpha gym bro type who doesn't understand, doesn't get it, that see, I'm prone to very long bouts of depression. Just where all I just want to do is just lay down for days at a time and only get up to go to the bathroom or maybe eat. And that's it. But if I cave into that temptation to do that, whenever I'm triggered by the loss of loved ones, and yes, the loss of an animal, of a pet, can hit just as hard as it would if I were to lose a friend, a relative, or a lover even, or financial stress. I'm not going to lie. the Modesto Irrigation District shafting me very hard last winter, my rent going up, the and not getting that pay raise that I was expecting, made things very stressful for me. Whenever I get triggered by that, if I cave into that desire to just close the door, stay in, what happens is my problems multiply. They get worse. I become overwhelmed by them eventually. Nothing gets done. People who count on me are let down. And so I have to press on. I have to. I have to stay busy. I have to stay active. Well, in a few hours, I am going to be in the air. I am going to Washington, D.C. Yes, Mordor on the Potomac, to the Libertarian National Committee, where I will not only be just a voting delegate, but also a sergeant at arms. And I'm going to make work cut out for me, because this is going to be the most controversial and contentious convention in the history of our party. Donald Trump will be speaking Saturday night at the Libertarian Party National Convention. It is not the party endorsing Trump. It's no different from when I let a Republican Assembly candidate, Guadalupe Salazar, address the LP of Stanislaus County in 2022. It wasn't an endorsement, it was just a conversation. So I have no problem with Trump being there. But we're not going to let Trump turn it into a MAGA rally. We're not going to let Trump's underlings turn it into a MAGA rally. We are not Cletus and Lurleen from Dogpatch, Arkansas, who let, Fox News, OAN, the local talk radio host, Alex Jones, and QAnon do all the thinking for us. We are critical thinkers. We are skeptics. If something comes out of his mouth that sets off our BS detectors, we will let him know loudly. Yeah. And again, just like I would with attempts to cross-nominate RFK Jr., I would resist attempts to cross-nominate Donald Trump. And there are some people in the LP, some people in the leadership. I'm not going to name names, but some of you may know who I'm talking about, who think that if we curry favor with Trump, if we stroke his ego, suck up to him, be Waylon Smithers to his Monty Burns, then maybe he might adopt some of our planks. Maybe if he gets reelected, we might have a say in cabinet appointments and judiciary appointments. That is naive and Pollyannish thinking. Disabuse yourself of that now. If that's what you think. Okay, because if, capital I, capital F, if Trump is reelected, if he's given another term, whatever empty promises he gives at the Hilton in Washington, D.C. Saturday night ain't going to amount to a hill of beans. Now, Jarvanka will be put in charge just like before. It's going to be the same crap all over again. And really, if he gets reelected, there's going to be violent left-wing reaction, violent quote-unquote alt-right reaction to that violent left-wing reaction, counter-reaction. The lame duck Biden administration, the Democrat governors, the Democrat mayors are going to order police to stand down and watch while our cities burn and our elderly are beaten to death in the streets. It will be the summer of Floyd on steroids. Then Trump gets reelected, uses the street violence as an excuse to shred our Constitution, and his sycophants in quote unquote dissident ink will cheer the crackdown on actual dissidents. So yeah, that's why I think we should not allow Trump's appearance at our convention to be a Trump rally. So if you're listening, by all means, boo him, heckle him, chant asshole through his whole talk, flip him the bird, laugh in his face, boo him off stage. Show him the same respect he showed to the children of Yemen. Because I had to use GoFundMe to crowdfund my travel expenses, my plane ticket, and all that. I won't really be doing a whole lot of fancy stuff there. I mean, I'll probably end up eating, some Chef Boyardee cold out of a can, which is pretty much how I eat most of the time anyway. But I will be going to the gala. I did buy tickets for a ticket for that out of my own money, out of my own paycheck, not the GoFundMe stuff, because I know people will be asking questions about that. And I know there's going to be a party, I think Friday night. It's going to be DJ'd by Ben Weir, who I've had here on Convo a couple of times before he became a star with his Shut the Punk Up podcast. Oh. And somewhere in between, we'll try to fit in the inaugural meeting of the Cigar Caucus. Unfortunately, our co-founder Kirk Sullivan is unable to make it. Yeah, but I will be getting together with some of the other guys who are interested, and see if we can't put something together that isn't going to conflict with any of the other festivities. You know, and I plan to be around for the after party or the wake, depending on how things go. I know that the Mises Caucus isn't going to have the strong majority that it did in Reno. That we might not get everything we want. that there's a very strong possibility that there are some folks that we would like to see get reelected won't get reelected. The presidential nomination process. I've like I said, I am supporting Joshua Smith because he has the most pluses. He checks all the boxes of what I look for in a presidential candidate, especially for 2024. Okay, we need somebody who's young. We need somebody who's either Generation X or Y. We need somebody who's actually going to campaign against Trump and hit him hard on his failures and broken promises. We need somebody who's going to go after the American left ferociously, the same way Javier Milei went after Argentina's left in his presidential election down there. And and that guy is Joshua Smith. I mean, I know that as recently as a year and a half ago, a lot of us were thinking that maybe it would be Dave Smith, who, and I know people aren't going to want to hear this, but I'm just gonna put it out there anyway. Basically, just chose stand-up comedy over politics, and it's not going to be Justin Amash, who went back to the plantation. I mean, don't get me wrong. I admire the man. I wish him well, but he's not going to win that Senate primary. Not not with a Trump endorsed candidate and a GOP establishment putting their thumbs on the scale for that guy. It's just not going to happen. Mm. And then there's Spike Cohen, who I was hoping would run. He still hasn't said one way or another if he's going to do it, but we'll see what happens. But Joshua Smith is the guy. Uh, if Mike Tremont were the nominee, I'd vote for him. If Michael Rechtenwald were the nominee, I'd vote for him. If Jacob Hornberger were the nominee, I'd vote for him, even though I think some of his critiques of Angela McArdle and the LNC are unfair. There are only three LP candidates I would not vote for in a general election. Without naming names, because I'm trying not to get negative, but without naming names, you've got one guy who's the living embodiment of just about everything that was wrong with the pre-Reno LP. You got this other guy who's been buying, who's been trying to buy the nomination, and he's been astroturfing conventions, straw polls. He's been spoofing online polls to give him an edge in those polls. And then there's this other guy who's a COVID regime apologist, who made some very disturbing remarks about mentally handicapped people being a drain on public resources, and that's eugenics, man. That's the stuff that the Nazis would say to justify euthanizing disabled people. So yeah, that guy is shouldn't even be allowed anywhere near the microphone as far as I'm concerned. My uncle died fighting people like that in World War II. If things don't go the way I hope they go, I'm not going to leave the LP. I'm going to continue working here in California, making sure the LP thrives here. Um, growing my affiliate, building an infrastructure in rural California with the other affiliates. We're already making progress. We're already building a good working relationship with Calaveras and Tuolumne and Fresno and Merced. If we're and if we're successful, maybe we'll even do some outreach into the foothills area and the East Bay. So yeah, in a few hours I'm going to be in the air. Kind of weird for a 46-year-old man to be saying this, but this is actually my first time in an airplane. So this is going to be interesting. Um, yeah, I haven't been east of the Mississippi since I was a baby. I don't even remember that trip. Yeah. Well, this video wasn't as long as I thought it was going to be. So yeah, I'm going to be, you know, I'll be going to that dance party. I'll be going to the gala. I'll be doing whiskey and cigars with friends at DC. I'll be doing DC Diaries. I'll be posting to that. Hopefully, Kelly, if you're watching, you'll see this. You'll see the DC Diaries. I know you enjoyed the Reno Diaries very much. Okay. Yeah, and yeah, I'm glad I didn't break down crying talking about Brittoni or Wizard. Then again, yeah, I did run out of tears this weekend. Well, that's it for now. Think while it's still legal. Keep your BS detectors turned on. I'll see you again in DC. Ciao.